Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of The Package Tourist, hosted by yours truly, the Package Tourist and the magical mystery tour called life, Matthew DiBiase. Tonight's guest is author Seyed Nourashrafeddin. Seyed lives in Pittsburgh. He earned his PhD in molecular medicine and has worked as a genomic researcher at the University of Pittsburgh Medical Center since 2012. He is a well-known scientist who has written numerous articles on cancer and reproductive health. In May of this year, Seyed made his literary debut with his memoir, In Search of Rain, From Motel Qu to Pittsburgh, a memoir for everyone, which details his growing up in pre-revolutionary Iran and his life's journey that eventually led him to live in the United States. Seyed, welcome to the show. It's an honor and privilege to have you here. I like to start off the podcast by asking you, let's begin at the beginning. Where were you born and raised?
I was born in 1974 in a small city in the north of Iran called Motel Qu. Motel Qu is close to Caspian Sea with the rainforest and a snow-capped mountain. And it's a small city in the north of Iran and newly established. This city established during 1915 and became shortly after that became a touristic hub in my country, and many people from all around the country used to come to my city, and many singers, actors used to come to provide the programs in my city.
How close is Motel Qu to Tehran?
It's about 100 miles, but we have to pass the mountainous range. And it takes about, in the past, it takes about 7 hours to go to Tehran.
Okay. Now, Seyed, what did your parents do for a living?
My parents' business was rice farming, and also my father has a restaurant, a small coffee restaurant in the city as well.
Okay. What are your memories of your early childhood? What was life like before the 1979 revolution?
Actually, I was 5 years old when the Islamic Revolution happened, but my parents used to say that people have an easy life, and we had the freedom, we had the king and queen, and we had happiness, and it was like America. People used to go to the beach with the bikinis, and ladies and men used to swim together, and we had freedom, and people had a very easy life, very happy.
Okay. Do you have any personal memories of the 1979 revolution? Any personal memories?
Actually, after the revolution, because my city was a touristic hub and it was a newly established city, and we had a casino, we had the clubs in our city. And after the revolution, actually, my city became destroyed. And maybe nowhere around Iran was damaged as my city. And the revolutionary people, they destroyed the casinos, they destroyed the clubs and the cities and everything, and movie theaters. And even my father was forced to change his business because my father had a liquor store. And this was the only liquor store in my city, and my father was forced to change his business to coffee restaurant. And after revolution, my father actually was addicted to heroin, and they arrested 2 times my father to give up his addiction.
I'm sorry I hear that. Now, in your book, you state at first when you were growing up, you were a poor student. Why was that, Seyed?
Actually, we were a large family. We were 9 siblings, and my mother and my parents couldn't read a single word, and they didn't care about our studies. And that's why we were poor in studies. So nobody take care of my studies, and because we were a large family, and nobody knows about the reading, writing. So that's why, I was a poor student.
Okay. Now, and you write in your book that you received a gift at New Year's that totally changed your mindset towards schooling. Now, what year was that? And also, what was the gift that you received that literally changed your mind? Can you tell our listeners what was the gift?
Actually, it was one day before Persian New Year, and I was standing in the schoolyard, and a schoolmaster called a few people, and they gave us in the envelope. It was a little money. It was about $100, $100, and this has a big effect in my life, and I don't want actually anybody help me, and that became a trigger for me to study and make a bright future for myself and for my family. Yeah.
Okay. And now in your book, you talk about your grandfather. How important was your grandfather when it came to your personal intellectual growth?
Yeah, my grandfather was a well-known person in my city, and my grandfather was living in my city before our city established, and he was a well-known person in the city, and he people who used to want to have a donation, they used to bring for my grandfather, and my grandfather used to pray for them. And he used to take me with himself, and he used to say, Seyed, you have to be scientist when you grew up. And he opened the account in the bank for me, and trying to pay attention to us, because my father didn't take care of us too much, and he was living with us, and he was a nice person, and I was trying to learn from him. But he passed away when I was 9 years old. Yes, he passed away, my grandfather.
Okay. Now, Seyed, where did you attend university in Iran?
Actually, after finishing my diploma, I finished my schools with all hardships which I had, and then we passed the national entrance exam. We don't have it in the United States, but I couldn't pass the national entrance exam, and I went for college. I went to private college, and I spent a lot of money to finish my college. And then I went to military service. During the military service, I studied and became accepted to Tehran University, which is a high-rank university in Iran.
Okay. How would you compare, the fact that you work at the University of Pittsburgh, how would you compare your university experience in Iran as opposed to American universities in terms of quality of education? Can you do a comparison and contrast?
Actually, it's not comparable. It's hard to compare, because the education, especially after revolution, it changed in Iran, and many courses change, and the science in Iran, especially after sanction, is not real. It's not real. You will see many people, many professors who has a high rank in the university, dean, like their faculty, and they never read, for example, the literature, and they publish many literature during the executive position, and the students do that, and they bring the professor name and the other many people name, but the research is not real. But when I came to the United States, I saw there is a big difference between research in Iran and research in the United States. And research in Iran is not real research, because after sanction, the university give a little fund to the professor, and with this amount of fund, you cannot do anything really. So, especially in the human science, humanity, is not. You cannot publish anything. You cannot do a real research, but what you want. And yeah.
Okay. Seyed, when you were growing up, were you spiritual minded when you were growing up?
Actually, yes. Especially my grandfather had important effect in my life. And then when during my high school, I studied many poems, spiritual poems. We had many poem books in my country, and tried to read these poems and make a note of them. And I tried to use these spiritual poems in my life, and I tried to have a spiritual mind.
Are you spiritual minded now, living in America?
I think now I am more. In America, I am more than in my country, and because I have now, thankfully, I have an easy life, and I can study more, and I'm trying to those poems which I remember, I can use it in my life. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Now, Seyed, what led you to leave Iran and move to the United States, and what year did that take place?
Pardon?
Yeah. Seyed, when did you leave Iran and move to the United States? What year was that, and what led you to do that?
Actually, when I was living in Iran, it was my dream to one day to go abroad, any country, to see what's going on, living in out of the country. So during my PhD, I had the opportunity to studying abroad, to work in the lab and to study it and to defend my thesis. And finally, I got approval and I came to the United States to work in the lab, and then I came back to my country to defend my thesis. That's why I came to the United States for the first time.
And what year was that, Seyed?
About year 2012.
Oh, okay.
2012 for the sabbatical. For the sabbatical, I came to the United States.
Okay.
For the first time.
Were you married with children at the time, or did you marry when you moved to America, Seyed?
No, I married with one of my colleagues, who I became familiar with her with my hospital when I was working in the hospital in my country. We married in Iran, and when we came to the United States, my daughter born here in 2015. My daughter born here, and I finished my book with the last chapter name is Rebirth. That means my daughter born here, and we got a new life. Somehow, I started a new life in the United States.
Okay. Seyed, when you entered America, did you immediately move to Pittsburgh, or did you live in different areas of America before you reached Pittsburgh?
No, I directly came to Pittsburgh because I have an invitation letter from Pitt University, and I directly came to Pittsburgh. And there was another choice for Kansas University, but I prefer to come to Pittsburgh.
Okay. Seyed, tell us about yourself. Okay, you've been living in America since 2012. Describe Seyed Nourashrafeddin, the American, as opposed to Seyed Nourashrafeddin, the Iranian. I mean, how much have you changed since you've been living in the United States, Seyed?
Actually, I changed a lot. Especially my living situation changed a lot. In Iranian Seyed, I was just running for my life. I had a lot of challenges in my life. I had a lot of stress for everything, for job, for the making money, for everything. But when I came to the United States, somehow I became settled and I got a new life, and my daughter born here, and now my life is much more easier than Iran, and I have a job, and this salary which I received is compensating my life cost, and I can go travel and living with a peace of mind. So I'm running, so I'm exercising, so I can even help my family in my country, save a little money. So it's completely changed from Iranian Seyed to American Seyed.
Now, have you and your family, your wife and children, ever returned to Iran for a visit?
Yes, actually, me and my wife, after we had my daughter born here, we went 2-3 times in my country, and every year I go to my country to help my family and to visit my mother because, they are living in my country.
Do they still live in? Do they still live in Motel Qu?
Yes, my mother with my brothers, and they are all living in Motel Qu, but my father passed away a few years ago.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry to hear that, Seyed. My condolences and sympathies. Okay.
Thank you so much.
What do your siblings and relatives do in Motel Qu? I mean, what do they do for a living, by out of curiosity?
Actually, I was the only one who went to university. My all brother and sister, we were 9 siblings. We have a big family. And my all brother and sister, they quit school and during the elementary school and middle school. And my brothers, they mostly working in the car repair shop. And my sister, they married when they were 15 years old, 16 years old. And they have their own life, and yes, I was the only one who went to university. and coming to United States.
Okay. Seyed, whenever I interview an author, I always love to ask this standard question. When you were growing up, who were your favorite authors? And of those favorite authors, did any of them light the spark inside you to become a writer or perhaps influence your writing style?
Actually, when I was a kid, our family economy was not in this situation, so I could read a book, and there was no library in my city. So I read just one book, one fiction book called Mysterious Island by Jules Verne. This was the only book which I read during my childhood, and I asked my father several times, and finally he bought this book for me. I love it, and I still remember this book. And during my high school, I had more chance to borrow some books from my friends, and these books usually was a poem books, because we had many poem books in my country, and try to memorize them, this poem, and learn them and use it in my life. But after I came to United States, I had more chance to read many books, and Ernest Hemingway. I like to read Ernest Hemingway's book, and I had more chance to read the other books.
How many, if you don't mind me asking, how many kids do you have? I mean, boys, girls, how many kids do you have?
I have only just one girl. Her name is Roxana. She born 2015 here, and she's going to a school now. She's 10 years old.
What does she like? What are her favorite classes? What does she like to study?
Math. She liked math, but I always had problems with math and science. Thankfully, she liked math. She's smart in math. But I couldn't pass the math during my elementary school, and I had problems with the math. But she's much better. She liked the math.
What does she like to do? I mean, as a young girl, what are her interests?
She knows how to play piano, and she going to different classes. And now since last year, she became accepted to Pittsburgh Gifted Center. So once a week from the school, she goes to this center. So she likes to art. She she swimming. She learned swimming and bicycling. Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's fantastic. Do you see yourself writing any more books, Seyed, in the future? Any future book projects? By any chance?
Actually, this was, I think, the only book which I spent 10 years to publish it. And I think if I want to do something, maybe I want to revise this book, and maybe I want to do something else, something different, rather than books. But I don't think I want to write another book.
Okay. Seyed, I want to thank you so much for appearing on the show, and I wish you and your family the best luck of all your endeavors.
Thank you so much. Thank you for inviting me to your program. Thank you so much.
Take care and good luck in all your work, okay?
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Good.
Stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen, for next week's show, where I'll be interviewing author Stephen W. Brown. Thank you and good night.